Hi teachers, I'm going to review the quick and easy reading assessments we have available to us in Benchmark Advance and Adelante that we can use to get to know our readers. Here at Muraoka, we are going to be focusing on the oral reading fluency assessment, but I wanted to preview some of the others that can help make your life a little bit easier and help you get to know your students as readers so that you can give them better small group instruction or help plan interventions for students you have concerns for. So first is the Reading Foundational Skills Screener. This is found in the Foundational Skills Assessment book, and it's kind of like a screener that you could use before the BPST or the RFSA. So it is leveled by level A, which has correlated to kindergarten level foundational skills. Level B is first grade foundational skills, and level C is second grade foundational skills. Now these assessments may also be helpful for our 3rd through 6th grade teachers in case we have a student who is lacking in some of those reading foundational skills. You can administer this to an individual student, to a small group of students, or even to your whole class if you just want to see where they're at in some general reading foundational skills. Next is the level screener. Now this is meant to be given at the beginning of the year or when you receive a new student to help narrow down where you're going to go for the oral reading assessments. It's found in the Informal Assessments book, and it can be used with other systems, but it's just helpful to narrow down what level to start at so that you aren't having to give multiple levels to any one student. After that, you would give the oral reading fluency. So once you've found their level with the level screener, you'll give the oral reading fluency. And I recommend recording the student when you're giving this assessment. So that way, if you want to go back and review it, you can and analyze it for more detail. I also recommend with this oral reading fluency that you have the students give you an oral summary of what they read. And we'll talk about more about that in a minute. Last, we have the oral reading record. So this is, you're able to analyze more in depth the errors and miscues that your students are making to help plan some learning targets for small group instruction or for interventions. But we're not going to be focusing on this as a site right now, but I just wanted to let you know that it is available in Benchmark. So let's go to Benchmark Universe to see these assessments. So in your email and your single sign-on, you will go to Benchmark Universe. If it's not up here at the top of your app launcher, go to All Apps and you should find it there. And it'll open up a new page. If it asks you to sign in again, just hit the refresh button and it will bring you to your dashboard. So on the dashboard, go to My Library, and under Library in the drop-down menu, go to Assessments. Choose your grade level. And we will have to scroll down under the unit and weekly assessments and down to the informal assessments and the foundational skills assessments. We're going to start in the informal assessments book to look at the level screener. That is in section 3. So again, the level screener is just meant to help you narrow down what level you can give your students. You're not gathering a ton of information from this assessment. You're just helping to see where they are. So it's recommended to first do fundamental skills assessment with the students. If you see here at number 1, put a book on the table, ask them to pick it up and get ready to read. Even with our upper grade students, you want to do this just to make sure that they have some book handling skills. You also want to do letter recognition. So write the letters M-A-S-T on a piece of paper, point to one at a time, and make sure they can name the letters. Then review those students and review those letters, and ask the student to make the sound of those letters to make sure they have basic phonics skills. Especially for some of our newcoming students that are coming from other schools or other districts or even other states, we want to make sure that they have those letter recognition and phonics skills. If we scroll down here, it tells you which passage you should start with based on what grade level you teach. Again, these aren't for gathering a lot of information, so we're just trying to narrow down what level they are. So let's go look at Screener 3 so you can see what it looks like. They're just short, quick little passages. It should take you less than a minute to have the student read it. You can make another copy for yourself to annotate. and then they answer one comprehension question. And if we go back up to the rubric, you can see that it's very explicit as what your next step should be depending on how they read that passage. So let's look here, the second box. If they read with minimal difficulty, they have 3 to 4 errors, mostly fluent, and answer the comprehension correctly, you can either do Screener Passage 4, or you can begin the oral reading record at level J. But for example, if we go down here and they read with some difficulty, they have 5 to 10 errors, they're fluent in some places, and they answer the comprehension accurately, you would start at level H. So you just observe the reading behaviors and then follow the next steps. So once you have your next steps, I'm going to go back to Benchmark Universe. You're going to pull out your foundational skills book. And here we are going to find the oral reading fluency assessments. So these are down here at the bottom, the oral reading fluency assessments. Let's look at the teacher pages first. So here are the instructions of the purpose of the oral reading fluency. The purpose is to assess their reading rate, and then also gather a little bit of information about the errors they might be making. Here's the instructions about how to give it in case you haven't done a running record in a while. There's some notes as to what counts as errors and what doesn't. Here are the reading rate goals per grade level. So at the beginning of first grade, they should be reading about 20 words a minute. By the end of first grade, they should be at 60 words per minute, according to this chart. And then also the rubrics for phrasing, fluency, intonation, and comprehension. So now we'll go back and look at one of the assessment pages. These are grouped by levels. So you'll be able to make your annotations here about any errors they make and track their fluency, and then rate them on a rubric score for phrasing and fluency, intonation, comprehension. It has the self-check question answers here and a place for comments. Again, like I mentioned before, I recommend asking the students to also do an oral summary of what they've read, just to make sure that they are comprehending the main ideas and some of the key details, that they are able to sequence in order, and that they know what a summary is. Now let's look at the student pages back on section 4, the oral reading fluency. Unfortunately, these are not leveled, but you can just click on one. And this is a page that you'll print out for the students, probably put it in a plastic protective sheet, give them directions that they're going to read it the whole passage first, and then have them stop. And then here are the self-check questions. There's usually between 3 to 5 questions. So as you can see, these assessments are very short, but you can gather a lot of information about your readers that will help you plan your small group instruction and or interventions as needed for some of your students. Please let me know if you have any more questions about these assessments, if you need more help administering them or finding the resources you may need.